Race time in Macau.
Edward Mortara.
An Audi front row, led by Mortara.
Ferdinand can take both of them out, and through goes the Audi. Mortara bounces at the perfect time. Oh no! Macau strikes again. And millions of dollars of damage here. It's going to be a big one.
Play driver, Eduardo Mortara.
Hello and welcome to the Gear Circuit in Macau for the return of the FIA GT World Cup, an event which celebrates not just the 70th running of the world-famous Macau Grand Prix, but also the 40th anniversary of Audi Sport GmbH. And to celebrate, we're back in Macau looking for a 5th outright victory to add to the 3 claimed by Mr. Macau Edo Mortara between 2011 and 2013. And that dramatic win by Laurens Vanthoor in 2016, an event he famously finished on the roof of his Audi R8 LMS GT3. For 2023, we're back with the FIA GT World Cup after a 3-year sabbatical with 4 drivers representing the brand with the 4 rings. Drivers who represent both sides of the globe. 7-time Macau winner Edo Mortara, on screen now, is joined by Germany's Christopher Haase in his 3rd visit to Macau, and local heroes, China's Chen Kongfu, or more widely known as Frankie Chung, and Hong Kong's Adelie Fong. Both of them are well versed with Audi machinery, and both were very competitive through practice and into qualifying. Today we start with a 12-lap qualifying race which will set the grid for the all-important 16-lap feature race tomorrow, and if history is anything to go by, we're in for a very, very exciting afternoon. The weather's been kind with almost perfect conditions for the drivers, 21-degree ambient temperature and just 37% humidity. Slight breeze from the north, stark contrast to yesterday where the high winds plagued, well, teams and cars right through qualifying and created a bit of a drama. Overtaking always a challenge on the 6.12 kilometre 24-turn street circuit, so getting a strong starting position was always going to be a priority, so it was no surprise to see that 3 of the most successful drivers in a GT car at Macau led the charge. Long-time rivals Mortara and Mauro Engel, who share 7 wins at Macau across 11 starts, were set to start the qualifying race side by side before a late charge from Raffaele Marciello on his final lap gave him pole by a mere 0.2 of a second. Mortara starting alongside. Strap in, things are about to get very, very interesting. Cars just coming through Lisboa now, one of the most iconic corners in the world of motorsport, but the one we'll all be looking for is Mandarin, turn 2. It's all played out there in past years. It's certainly caught Mortara. It's had a big impact on the finishing positions for not just the qualifying race, 12 laps today, the 16-lap feature race tomorrow, but the way things played out for the teams. It's been very interesting. Mortara has been there or thereabouts for many, many years. Of course, a 3-time winner off the back of 2 Formula 3 wins in 2019 and 2010 at the Macau Grand Prix. He won on his debut with Audi in 11, in 12 and in 13. Part of the reason he's called Mr. Macau. 7 wins across his time at the circuit over that period. And he definitely starts as one of the favourites and always features in this. So to see him come through and get himself onto the front row, he held pole position for much of the last 10 minutes yesterday and was just trumped by Marciello in the final stages. So it's going to be interesting to see just what happens as we get into turn 1 at Reservoir and then of course down to Mandarin, where it's all unfolded in past years. What can we predict? Well, you tell me. Anything can happen, and usually does when we are on track at Macau with the FIA GT World Cup. Of course, the last couple of years we've been back to the Macau GT Cup, and it's been a very different set of competitors. Because both Engel and Mortara did make a cameo appearance last year. Mortara again finishing on the podium. In fact, he's very rarely off the podium when he's come to this circuit. He is one of the real stars, but you can't discount the likes of Marciello, who set pole, Mortara alongside Engel and Laurens Vanthoor, who won for Audi back in 2016 in those dramatic pictures of him finishing on his roof. Shelton van der Linde will start on the 3rd row alongside Danny Juncadella. Daniel Serra alongside Augusto Farfus, Earl Bamber and Christopher Haase, the second of the factory Audi drivers, back in position number 10. Matteo Caroli, who was very quick through practice. Alessio Picariello, a former Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup champion back in 2016. Kevin Estra, Thomas Preening, Hongli Ye, who's a former winner of the GT Cup for Macau. Adley Fong, who is a man with a lot of experience in an Audi vehicle. And of course, he won the 2013 Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup Championship, partly due to a finishing result here at Macau for Alex Young. We get set for a start. We come through Bend for the final time. Fingers crossed, we get this underway. Left of screen is the man we're looking at. That is Mr. Macau, Edo Mortara. His rival behind him, Mauro Engel, and here we are off the start. Marciello's got a great start, jumped into the lead. Mortara's tucked in behind him. It'll be interesting to see how they carry that speed right down here into Mandarin. The Audi just trying to defend from Engel. Engel trying to squeeze him across. That could be drama. Side by side through Mandarin. That is gutsy. Oh, he's just come up against the wall. Has he held onto it? No, he's dropped back to position 3, Mortara. You can see Haase back there in the bright yellow colours. Fluoro yellow, the second of the Audi Sport Team Absolute entries. There he is, just going through Lisboa now. A little bit of a touch further back, and you can see the Hello Kitty car, 50th anniversary of Hello Kitty this year. That's been very popular for Hong Kong's Adley Fong as he continues through a little bit further back in the pack, holding down position 16. Frankie Chung immediately behind him. Back to position 3. He'll be frustrated about that. You can see just how difficult it is to make an overtaking move around these very, very tight streets here in Macau. Through Teddy Yip into the Solitude S's, and that is Caroli, who was one of the pace setters through practice. That could well be a safety car. Localised yellows at the moment. Will we see the safety car drawn? Can he get that car started? But pretty much nose to tail through this part of the circuit as we head down to Donna Maria and then onto Melco Hairpin, one of the most iconic parts of the circuit. I'm a little bit ahead of myself. We're just going through Police and Moorish now. That's a big contact. The number 28 entry, that is Thomas Preenings, had drama, a little bit of contact. Rear of the car there, he spun into the barriers. That will no doubt bring out the safety car. This has been another highlight of Macau over many years. We've seen it with the GT Cup, but most certainly this weekend there have been very, very few sessions without the introduction of a safety car, and in many cases there has been a red flag. Let's just hope we can clear that car up and we don't need a red flag. Safety car board is out, perhaps no surprise. So it is Marciello, Engel, and then Mr. Macau, Edo Mortara in position number 3. Position number 4 to Lawrence Van Thor. Back to Van der Linde, Juncadella, Serra, Farfus, Bamber and Christopher Haase still holding down position number 10. His qualifying position further back, we're looking for Frankie Chung in position 18, which is pretty close to where he qualified. And in position number 16, where he qualified, is Adley Fong in the colours of Hello Kitty. I'll work out which part of the circuit that was on, but quite likely it's somewhere down near Police, potentially, as Preening walks away from the car. So a spirited start, and unfortunately for Mortara, he was shuffled back in that move side by side on the run between Reservoir and Mandarin alongside Mauro Engel, back to position number 3. And that's where he will restart this race. It's not all over, of course. That keeps him well and truly within reach of the leaders. But your passing positions, well, really only an opportunity at Lisboa. And if you can maybe just manage to just draft through into Mandarin, but it's a gutsy move going too wide there. We've seen that end in tears in the past, famously catching both Van Thor and a year prior. Well, in fact, the qualifying race that very same year. A little bit of debris on the circuit. The qualifying race in 2016 rather, dropped Edo Mortara back down the pack. Here is a replay of the start. Right of screen is Marciello. Left of screen, Marciello seemed to have got the jump, but he was controlling the field, so that's not unusual for the pole sitter. And then this big run down from Reservoir to Mandarin. You can see Engels just managed to maintain his pace through Reservoir, pull alongside and squeeze Mortara across. He knew that he was going to have to just ease off the throttle as they turned into what is about a 262 km/h corner in a GT3 car. You're braking from just on 280 km/h down here at Lisboa, so you don't want to get that wrong. Nice and clean through. Half a chance a little bit further back. That was Haase having a look at Sheldon van der Linde. Now, the big loser in this somewhere along the line has been Lawrence Vanthoor, now shown back in position number 8. So he was certainly running inside the top 4 off the start. So there is a little bit of shuffling up and down the order. So it's Marciello, Engel, Mortara, Juncadella, Farfus, Serra, van der Linde, Vanthoor, Haase now in position 9, Bamba, Alessio Picariello, Ye, Adley Fong's now up to position number 13, so he's jumped up 3 positions. So interesting to see where he was involved in all that other drama with Caroli and Preening, and whether they were involved on the circuit at the same position. You may see replays of that a little bit later on. Keep up to date with Audi Sport and the websites and the various social media platforms, whether in Chinese for the local viewers or in English and other languages in different parts of the world. We welcome you as we go racing, not too distant future from now. Hopefully those cars are cleared away. The light's still on the safety car. Traditionally that means that we're up for another lap. Let's see if they go off on the run from Fisherman's down to R Bend. Of course, the entry to pit lane is on the entry to the R Bend 90-degree right-hander, and the run onto the main straight, and then the longest straight of the circuit between Reservoir and Mandarin, about 680 metres, about 1.4 k's or thereabouts from R Bend down to Mandarin, and then you're getting closer to 2 k's by the time you're down at Lisboa. 6.12 kilometres, 24 turns. Depends on who you talk to. Some people judge it as 22 turns, but certainly it has been assessed as 24 for the purposes of this weekend for what we're doing. Certainly a lot of squiggles as you head up to up San Francisco Hill and through the Solitude S's. We're going around another lap. So it's a matter of keeping temperature in these Control Pirelli tyres ready for the restart, because it's going to be that drive off the final corner. And again, Marciello will be controlling the field. It'll be single file restart, and Engel will do what he can to try and close his Mercedes teammate down. But all the while, they know the credentials of the man behind them. Edo Mortara always delivers something a little bit special when he comes to Macau. Second here last year behind Engel in what was the Macau GT Cup. Not a lot of international competition last year. Of course, off the back of the pandemic, we had 3 years away from the FIA GT World Cup. We're back with both the FIA GT Cup and the Formula 3 Grand Prix this year. Motorcycles back too, so a welcome return for the 70th Macau Grand Prix. Doubleheader weekend, as we saw in the 60th. And during the 60th, we actually had rounds of the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup in what was the second year of the regional championship. Fantastic one-make experience. And on that occasion, we saw Alex Yoong, the Malaysian Formula F1 driver, come into this round as the points leader. Adley Fong chasing him down in the points, and unfortunately during practice, we saw a dramatic crash for Yoong coming through Mandarin, which absolutely destroyed his car, and with it, his championship aspirations. Adley Fong was crowned the 2013 champion of the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. And you could say that Alex Yoong certainly learned his lesson from that point on, because he then went on to claim 3 consecutive titles for the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup to become the winningest driver in the category. But that very weekend 10 years ago, Edo Mortara not only was running in the GT Cup, he was also competing in the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup, and he took one of his 7 outright wins during that weekend. So the GT Cup was the second weekend, the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup was the first weekend, and of course we had the local GT competitors competing last weekend. A number of teams from Audi Sport. Here we are on board with the man representing Absolute Racing once again, Edo Mortara. Great to see him back where he belongs, behind the wheel of an Audi R8 LMS GT3. Let's take a look at this run. Just look at the door banging. Engel and Mortara have form. And Engel knew he just managed to squeeze him across, and that probably just forced Mortara a little out of the throttle. He knows what that corner's like, and Engel just closed the door shut in his face off the back of that. A little bit of drama further back as drivers jostled for position, but what we didn't see is why Preening and Caroli wound up with dramas on that opening lap, the very reason we are back behind the safety car. And I say back behind the safety car because I think the safety car is probably going to end up doing more laps this weekend. It certainly won't be under warranty after this weekend is over than most of the cars competing on track. Let's see what happens as we come out now of Black Sands down towards Fisherman's, whether or not those lights will go out. No, they're on, but we've got a little bit more of a run from Fisherman's down to our bend, just to see whether or not, it's hard to tell, is he going to pull in? Certainly the drivers are doing everything they can to get tyres warm. Mortara's a little bit further back. He doesn't want to let I was going to say he doesn't want to let Marciello get away, but he can see only too well and better than I that the safety car hadn't returned to pit lane, so we'll go around another lap behind safety car. We're talking about that infamous 2016 event, which was effectively classified on a single lap on countback. It ended after a big move from Earl Bamber in this part of the circuit on a restart. He moved towards the front of the field, got through on then race leader Lawrence Vanthor. Vanthor tried to attack on the inside, coming to this point of the circuit through Mandarin, just clipped that curb on the inside, threw him sideways. He rode the wall here, flipped him onto his roof. He spent half the straight between Mandarin and Lisboa on his roof, and ultimately the race was declared time sensitive. Of course, this circuit is a street circuit between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. At this time of year, it is a race circuit. But come 6 p.m, it needs to be open to the public. We also were running the FIA Formula 3 Grand Prix, and that too was time sensitive. The clock was ticking. They kept extending as much as they could, but ultimately had to declare the race by the time they kept cleaning up red flag and safety car incidents, cars in barriers, and ultimately Lawrence Vanthor was declared the winner in what was one of the most unusual race results you will ever see. But that's what Macau turns up. That's what it does. That's what this circuit is all about. It's why it is so famous, and it is why so many drivers from both open wheel and GT and now touring cars. Of course, we had the TCR World Tour just concluded about half an hour ago in their penultimate round, or penultimate race rather. It is the final round of their championship. So the best from touring cars, GTs and Formula 3 competing here this weekend. It is a big weekend of racing, and it attracts the biggest names in the sport. Max Verstappen's been here in the past. Ayrton Senna competed here, Michael Schumacher, Nico Rosberg, Lewis Hamilton, and that's just in the open wheel world. In the GT world, the very best in the world are here. Raffaele Marciello is arguably the form driver in the world in GT competition. He's won here just once. I just need to check my data as to remember what year it was, because things have gone on quite a bit over those many years. Of course, that was 2019, and he is looking to try and make that 2 wins. Maro Engel, a 3-time winner if we're talking just GT Cup here at Macau. The one that they're all chasing on the leaderboard so far as outright victories is 4-time GT Cup winner Maro Engel, I beg your pardon, of course, Mr. Mortara, Edo Mortara, Mr. Macau, and on screen now. We're just looking at Raffaele Marciello behind the wheel of the race-leading Mercedes. If anybody knows how those work, well, He's done some time behind the wheel of an AMG in past seasons. He's won a race here in the past as Edo Mortara, and that is the safety car finally pulling into pit lane. So with 8 laps to go, we will be back underway. Marchiello is away already. Mortara is awake to it. He's right under the rear wing of Mauro Engel. What can they do in this long run down to Lisboa? What opportunities are there? Are there any opportunities? What can Engel do? Can he close in under the tail of Marchiello and try and make a move? Mortara looking to the right side of the circuit, extreme left to get as fast a run as possible through Mandarin. It's further back. Christopher Haase in position number 9. You will see the fluoro yellow nose of that car. Oh, Engel's tried to go wide. And Juncadella's tried to go around the outside. Oh, and he's got squeezed too. He's been squeezed into the barriers at Lisboa. That would have been a passing move with Mortara. So what has happened to Mortara? Hopefully he is still okay. He's in position number 3. He's kept that, but Juncadella's lost out big time. He tried to go side by side into Lisboa. We've seen that end badly in many, many cases in past years, and that's cost him dearly. Mortara hopefully hasn't had any damage as a result of that. We may well see a replay, but at the moment he's managed to hold on to position number 3 as Engel's doing everything he can to apply pressure to Marchiello in front of him. Oh, very wide there across the top. You can see just how much of the circuit they're using. Very, very narrow. And this is why they say there's very little overtaking opportunity through the top of the circuit. That's the headlights of Engel looking at the tail end of Marchiello. It's coming through Moorish. So they're coming through Maternity. Now they're heading through Teddy Yip into the Solitude S's. Yellow flag out. Not sure what that's about, but there's a drama down there. No, I was well out again. It's at Donna Maria. I beg your pardon. This is fairly obvious where we are. We're at Melco. Bunches the field back up again. You can see the Hello Kitty car there. 4th from the end. Holding down position number 13. 2 cars back is Frankie Chung, who's one of the most experienced drivers in this part of the world. In WEC, in DTM, in GT cars. He is the reigning China Endurance Champion. Frankie Chung, Chris Chia, an Audi R8, of course. Very experienced campaigner in those cars. Regular in the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. Finished 3rd back in Chung. Finished 3rd back in 2017 in the Cup. He's done a lot of miles around this circuit in past years. Although since 2016, this is only his 2nd start at Macau in the GT car, or any car for that matter. 4th position now is Farfus. Sarah in the Ferrari and Van der Linde. Van Thor in position 7 and Haase up to position number 8. Juncadella's back in position 9 after battling over position 3 just a lap earlier. The pace is very, very impressive. Marchiello's setting fastest lap so far at 2:18.4. GT3 lap record set by Earl Bamber in 2019's at 2:17.1. Marchiello, of course, with the qualifying record yesterday with a 2:15.6. So you can see just how hot the pace is at the moment. Heavier fuel load, of course. Tyres perhaps not in the same condition. Track temperatures similar. There was a fair amount of high wind yesterday, but you're pretty well protected across the top by the buildings. I don't recall whether it was a head or tail wind heading down that long stretch from Arbenne to Lisboa yesterday. But the pace certainly very, very impressive. Go back to 2019, the qualifying record. Sorry, that was the qualifying record from 19 at 15.6. He set it at 14.5 yesterday, so he was a good 4 seconds quicker than he's gone so far in this race. You can see just how tight it is through the Melco hairpin. The cars often need to be adjusted from their standard competition steering racks in past years. There was a dedicated Macau steering rack just to negotiate the Melco hairpin. There's Chris Reinke, the boss of Audi Sport. He's enjoying a few celebrations. Not sure whether he's quite caught up with the 50 years of Hello Kitty, but certainly 70 years of Macau, and 40 years since the introduction of Audi Sport. Of course, he is the man at the helm these days. He's looking for what would be a 5th win tomorrow for the brand with the 4 rings. But right now, doesn't seem to be an awful lot that Edo Mortara can do, except perhaps just hope that maybe those two Mercedes fighting ahead of him might just bring each other back towards him. And he's been a real opportunist in past years, certainly at corners like Lisboa, to be able to take a position away and move himself further up the order. This really is the main overtaking opportunity on this circuit. If you have the gumption, certainly you can look at a move at Mandarin, but really you need to be at the top of your game to try and pull that one off. Great liveries from Audi Design China on the, well, certainly 3 of the cars. The Uno Racing entry of Adley Fong with Hello Kitty. It's not part of the design team's operation. As we look at one of those cars, that is Edo Mortara. It's a design steeped in Chinese folklore based on the famous martial arts story of Storm Riders. Mortara's car is based on Cloud. It's got a gold theme, whereas Hasa, which is the brother, Wind, is based on a silver and fluoro design. And legend has it, the Storm Riders are unstoppable. Well, they may be unstoppable. Let's just hope that there's nobody in front of them when they do all eventually stop at the end of this race. But at the moment, it is 3rd position for Edo Mortara, and currently position number 8, having climbed up 2 positions over his qualifying place. There he is, just going through Melco now. You can see out the rear of Lawrence Vanthoor, looking back at Christopher Hasa. He's got the wind behind him. Let's hope he can make some kind of move on the man who won that dramatic race back in 2016. The worst year for Mortara in a GT car. Finished 13th after that spin during the qualifying race on the Saturday. He had to recover, went to during the safety car interventions, and there were a number of them back then too. Managed to get into pit lane a couple of times for repairs to the car, had done damage to the rear wing. Rejoined the field, stormed through to 13th, and unfortunately after the race being declared by only a single lap on the Sunday, before taking the win, Edo back in position number 13. But over the last 11 years he's been on the podium 7 times. 4 of those have seen victory, so Mortara certainly is the most successful driver, not just in this field. Oh, that's a big one, that's Adley Fong. That is a massive crash. That is coming through. I'm just hoping he's all right. Yeah, see some movement. He's just given thumbs up. That's fantastic news, but not such great news for the 50th anniversary Hello Kitty Tarmac Works entry. What's happened? He's just lost the rear. Adley Fong coming through. Oh, that's a tremendous hit. Scenes of Alex Young back in 2013. The very kind of incident that handed Adley Fong the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup title. Great news to see the Hong Kong driver is okay, but that could well be red flag. Certainly safety car, and with 5 laps to go, this could just about be all it. That's a dramatic move through Mandarin for Adley Fong. What a tough run. He'd been doing such a brilliant job. Yep, got out under his own steam. That's fantastic news, but I think we will see the end of that particular car as we did Alex Young back in 2013. So 10 years on, dramatic scenes, very much shades of what happened 10 years ago. And just like Alex Young walking away from his stricken Audi, unfortunately for Adley Fong, that is game over. Amazing he was through practice and qualifying, got to within a second of the rock stars in this particular category. Remember, these guys are only running pretty much part-time, and the Uno Racing entry, that is a very big hit. You can see the barriers there are adjusted for this very kind of impact, and I'd say by the position of that right front wheel. And Frankie Chung just ducking around his teammate, has managed to, well, teammate as in they are very much a big part of the Audi Sport Customer Racing Asia family. He's not a teammate of the Uno Racing team this weekend. He's part of the Absolute Racing operation, but that is very bad news for Adley Fong, who was having an absolutely brilliant weekend to this point. at times inside the top 10 against, again, some of the cream of GT racing worldwide. Hadn't put a foot wrong all weekend. The Hello Kitty fans were lined up 10 deep, just trying to get autographs and see the car. Of course, the 50th anniversary of Hello Kitty this year. The car and the Macau Grand Prix and the FIA GT World Cup playing a big part of that celebration. But it is no more for Adley Fong. Just trying to see whether we have some sort of notification about what will happen here. But with 4 laps to go, I fear this may be the end. Yeah, you can see the damage. Well, they're going to have to repair the safety barrier there. They're doing their level best, but look at the carnage on the circuit. A lot of that is from the foam inside the safety barriers, but also the protection within a modern GT car. You can't discount just how well made these vehicles are, all the cars in the field, but certainly the Audis. We saw it with Vanthor finishing on his roof. We saw it 10 years ago with Alex Young in the first generation R8 LMS with such a dramatic impact with that part of the circuit. We've seen it in very visual form just a lap ago with Adley Fong, and that is huge disappointment for the driver from Hong Kong. He will be devastated. He was very much looking forward to this. A driver with immense experience. He won the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup here at Macau 10 years ago. He's won a number of races. He went over to America where he won races in GT cars in the thick of their GT World Challenge competition back in the day before it was GT World Challenge. He's test-driven a Sauber Formula 1 car back in the day. He's done an awful lot of racing over many years. Huge car collector. He's got Nissan Skylines, he's got Evos, he's got a Pajero, he collects Japanese cars. He's got a big collection over there in Hong Kong, which is just a ferry ride away across the Pearl River. He's a very popular part of the community in this part of the world for motorsport, and certainly a great friend to Audi Sport Customer Racing Asia, so we're overjoyed to see him get out of the car and walk away. But alongside Adley, we're very saddened by the end result of what was proving to be a very solid run just outside the top 10 as we went into the final 6 or 7 laps of this race. Red flag now out, and I would suggest, due to the fact that we are under a time limitation, that we may well not see this race continue, in which case Raffaele Marciello will claim another victory, although it is just the qualification race. It does set the grid for tomorrow. Mauro Engel, position 2, Edo Mortara. Now, considering Engel managed to fire from P3 to P2 in the opening stages of this race, off that rolling start, that does provide some opportunity for Mortara tomorrow. He is a gun down at Lisboa. He's seen just about everything in his many years behind the wheel here in Macau and has tried a number of those things. Some of those have pulled off and delivered him a solid result. So it's certainly not over for Mr. Macau. Farfus in position 4, Sarah 5, Sheldon van der Linde in position 6, Lawrence Vanthor 7, Christopher Haase up from position number 10 to position number 8. So a 4th row start for the second of the drivers representing Audi Sport Team Absolute. Earl Bamber in position 10, Daniel Giuncadella in position 9. Position 11 for Alessio Picariello, the former Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup champion. Kevin Astor in position 12. Hong Ye in position 13. Frankie Chung up to position 14, so he's climbed 4 positions from his 18th placed qualifying position. Jules Gounon in position 16, and Marchi Lee, the veteran, the inaugural champion of the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. When I use the word veteran, I used it 10 years ago and he didn't like it then, so I can't imagine he's going to be too thrilled with it this time around, but certainly he is becoming a veteran of the sport. Great to see him still continuing to compete at Macau. Finished on the podium here in the Macau GT Cup a couple of years ago for Audi. Position number 2, that was a fantastic result, showed he still has ability, and it's good to see him back in the field, currently bringing up rear of field, position number 18, as certainly the officials just check the safety and the integrity of that safety barrier down there on the exit of Mandarin. It's there for a very, very important reason. Alex Young knows only too well all about that, as now does Adley Fong. And there's certainly other drivers who have experienced that part of the circuit, both sides of the barriers. It's one of the toughest circuits in world motorsport. Rank up there alongside Eau Rouge. And, the chase at Bathurst as being one of the most difficult circuits to attack at speed. But you could argue that in both those cases there's a little bit more runoff, although the end result can often be the same. Now let's see. Not hearing too much at the moment about whether this will be restarted, but we are time sensitive. We had allowed 60 minutes for this particular session. No, I think they're just talking about the condition of Adley Fong. Drivers certainly behind the wheel, as far as they're concerned, they may well be set for a restart. Now what will be interesting is with a restart, be nose to tail, rolling start again with Marciello controlling the field. Certainly the drivers don't look like they're moving anywhere, so that clock might be ticking, but they might be confident enough that they can repair the circuit. We may well get 1 or 2 laps of racing. Now that could have a big impact on the end result of just how this one plays out. Marciello in what could well be his last race for Mercedes, certainly in the short term. There's a little bit going on in the international world of GT and rides and different teams moving forward. Let's see, back there in position number 3 is 3-time winner Mauro Engel, 4-time winner Edo Mortara. Chris Reinke just inside the door having a chat to his driver. I'm sure overjoyed to have him back. Couldn't quite hear what Edo was saying to Chris, but talking about being a long race. Now this race started about 40 odd minutes ago, so there's every chance we have some time. It's like Alex Blackie, the boss of Audi Sport Custom Racing Asia, just over in the background, waiting on to see just how this one plays out. Bernd Gers, the former boss of Audi Sport Custom Racing Asia, across from Germany to catch up with a number of his old drivers and his old support crew. He is also on the ground at Macau. And what a fantastic event it is. This is part of the frustration of Macau. It is part of, I guess, the makeup of a street circuit, that often you are dealing with delays along the lines of safety cars and red flags, because on a narrow circuit like this, incidents do tend to require repairs to barriers. They do tend to require recovery of vehicles. There's Christopher Haase in the wind. He's not in the wind. It's actually quite nice out there at the moment. 18 kilometres an hour from the north, 21 degrees, so ambience all right. Probably sitting in a hot race car with the heat damp just coming through from behind him with the mid-mounted 5.2 litre V10 engine. Now that is Juncadella, who came off very second-hand in what appeared to be a side-by-side incident with Mortara down at Lisboa. We didn't quite see it as it was unfolding, but they were certainly going into the corner side-by-side. It's missing headlight. Being a red flag, they can make some repairs to the cars. But as for what else we are hearing, well, at the moment, clock is still ticking. That's the big clock on the wall, not so much the race clock, because it is defined by the next event. And that next event is a little bit further down the schedule, We do have a little bit of wriggle room so far as just when that will come up. The Formula 3 race is scheduled for 3:50. We're currently at 2:43 local time in Macau. And for those of you watching, make sure you join us at what is midday Macau time tomorrow. So a couple of hours earlier than this race started for what will be the 16-lap main event, the 2023 FIA GT World Cup. We are seeing if we can't grab a driver to have a chat during this red flag intervention. Nice to just get an update from them as to what their views are on how this race has unfolded. Now let's take a look. Here's this side-by-side move. Mortara and Juncadella. Oh, yes. Well, I mean, I think that was probably more so Danny's error. He just ran a little bit wide, and you'd have to say Mortara gave him plenty of racing room. And you talk about plenty of racing room, there's probably enough room for two cars side by side through there. So plenty of racing room, might be 6 to 12 inches, but very gentlemanly about not closing the door too heavily on Juncadella, and he could have done so. There's David Chen, another driver who has been a race winner with Audi as a man driver. Once we took the Export Elements Cup from, so he's another driver in this field in this part of the world. First place in China, just over the wide. It was kind of on, kind of wasn't. He just managed to grab the tyre barrier on the exit of the corner. Still looks like he's in his 20s. He's like us. Certainly a big part of his history in Asia, and campaign with Audi over many years. That fantastic pole delivery back in 2015, 2016. That really set the scene for doing some very dramatic deliveries over many years. Now they are still speeding up, doing work on the barriers. They're pretty keen to try and get this sorted. We may well be able to go rowing on pit lane, but certainly the desire is there's no time to repair barriers. It's 10-minute shootout to the flag. And what do the teams have? It's going to be very, very interesting to see how all of that plays out. So we information across to get us all updated. As we continue that clock countdown, so it's about 2:55 for restart. That's 50 minutes after what was the scheduled start. Again, we do have a little bit of room to move. We have our both race riders. There is the leader rider, Storm himself, Mortara. Represents Cloud, and Win represented by Christopher Pastor. That will be fantastic news to go to how they begin. Juncadella, Jordan Van der Linde and Ella Mortara back in position number 8 at that point. It was only 8/10 off the quickest time. It shows you how competitive these guys are. If you think about it, we talk about just what a fantastic weekend. Now, these days racing in Formula E, so he's able to see the fastest Van der Linde and Mortara. 2:14.54. Mortara, who held pole up until the dying seconds of the session with a 2:14.7, so there's 2/10. Haase with a 2:15.5, so he's 1 second off. And then you go back to Adley Fong, who found another, well, half a second to a second. In fact, I think he found close to a second. Adley Fong, 2:16.7. Here's another replay of the start on the run down to Lisboa under brakes. Oh, there's Juncadella, who had actually got his front wheels in front of Mortara and just couldn't get it through the corner. I mean, to be fair to Juncadella, he was being gentlemanly too, trying to give Mortara a little bit of room. Mortara likewise giving him room. As for Farfus, he wasn't giving any room at all. In fact, lost a wing mirror as a result of that, and then allowed Mortara to carry on in position number 3. But Adley Fong, by qualifying, had dropped back to 16th. He was only 1.8 seconds off pole, but it improved again to a 2:16.4. Here is that crash that has eliminated Adley Fong from the event. Just lost the tail of the car, and in scenes of Mortara during the qualifying race back in 2016, he may well have clipped the inside of the barriers. Across to Edo Mortara down in the car in pit lane.
Hey, Edo, that's such an eventful race so far. Like, what? There are 4 laps, still 4 laps to go, and now it's red flag. What will be your approach later on?
Got no idea what will happen now, so we first need to wait to see if we're going to restart or not.
刚刚呢，我也问到 Edo 呢，他是如何来看？那么现在呢，也是非常的具有戏剧性。还有4圈，现在是红旗，究竟会发生什么呢？他说他也不知道，只能是等待到底会发生些什么。Back to you guys.
In fairness to Feline, I think Edo has eyes on. He has his racing brain in gear, and he's completely focused on trying to get ready in case this race restarts. And clearly he doesn't know what's going to happen. None of us know what's going to happen. I think even if you had a crystal ball, you'd probably have trouble trying to determine what's likely to happen. That said, if we have a clean restart, and with the performance of Marchiello and Engel so far, and if they can manage to get away from Mortara, then we might end up with a finishing result that looks very much the way things are now. Very much single file, because we do have that opportunity, or the lack of opportunity rather, to overtake. Yeah, so we've gone from 55 to 57, so that's probably still within reason as to where we were likely to be. So a safety car restart, and depending on the condition of the circuit as we get through the exit of Mandarin, if they're happy with the condition of the circuit there, we may well see the safety car pull off and get 1 to 2 laps to go racing at the end of this, and just see where we are position-wise. Mortara too will be plotting exactly every scenario. He's done this before. He's seen it unfold before. He knows the guys he's on track with. He's been head-to-head and toe-to-toe with Mauro Engel over much of the last 10 years here at Macau. He's seen Marchiello. He knows what he's capable of. He's been teammates with both those guys. He knows what they can do. He knows what the data's like. He knows where they may have strengths and where they may have weaknesses. At the moment, he's battling 2 guys with identical vehicles. He is in a very different vehicle. Instead of a front-engine V8, he's running a mid-engine V10. And the characteristics of the Audi, well, they're well versed around this circuit. It's seen a lot of success, the Audi R8 LMS GT3, but so too has the AMG GT3. So they have seen enough of each other for him to have an idea, and what he'll be processing in his mind right now is exactly where he can take advantage of that and what he will be able to achieve. And if anyone can do it, it's the man on screen, Edo Mortara. And we look forward to this unfolding, as we're only a couple of minutes away now from getting cars back on track. Then it is vital that they get these tyres up to temperature. Given it's such a short race and the amount of time they've spent behind safety car and then back in pit lane, you would tend to suggest that tyre wear isn't really something that's going to be a massive consideration. It's not overly hot, and I would imagine that the Control Pirelli tyre will be perfectly suited to what they need to do. So I think you could probably rule out tyre life and tyre quality as being a significant contributor to this. What might be more significant will be the performance of the 2 cars and where they make their power, and just whether or not Mortara can use the immense power and torque of the Audi to control his position and be in the right place to actually get back under the rear wing of the Mercedes.
啊，那程东夫刚刚那个事故就发生在你的眼前，而且你顺利的通过了，其实还是挺震撼的。那么马上比赛就要开始了，你自己一会儿会有一个什么样的准备呢？
还专注自己的比赛吧。然后很重要一点就是阿德里方俊宇身体没有问题，这是最重要的。澳门呢就是这样，就是一旦有一个事故的话，一般都不会很轻，所以最重要的就是阿德里没问题。
Thank you. 那么刚刚so I just ask Frankie, the incident just happened just in front of him. Like he would also shout. He said, "This is just Macau," and he hope Adley is safe. And later on, he will focus on the race. Back to you guys.
Yeah, Frankie Chung has seen a lot of this before. He would have been there 10 years ago when the very same thing happened to Alex Young. He appreciates just how strong these cars are. Of course, has driven alongside the likes of Adley and Alex in events like the Spa 24-hour race. He's been a big part of the Audi family over many, many years. His engines refire and we get ready to go. Frankie's been around for an awful long time. WEC in 2013, DTM back in 2010, A1 Grand Prix prior to that in 6 and 7. He was on the podium in A1 Grand Prix for Team China. British F3 back in 07. He competed, as we were just talking about, the Spa 24-hour race in 2015, 2016. In 15 they might have finished 11th outright. They were right there. That was an all-Asian team. Alex Young was part of that driver lineup. Pretty sure Marchie Lee and Sean Tong may well have been part of that crew alongside Alex Young. So he has done a lot of miles. Of course, the reigning China endurance champion. So classification was closed up just recently. He wrapped that up again. Still a big part of the FAW operation, joint venture with Audi in this part of the world. A much loved competitor as well. So great to see him still being competitive, and whilst we're focusing very heavily then on Adley Fong based on what just happened down here at Mandarin about half an hour ago, you can never discount Frankie Chung. He is a consistent performer. He's done a lot of miles behind the wheel of an R8 in the various iterations of it, the Evos and the second generation car. So he knows only too well how to extract the best from the car, but like Adley, not behind the wheel as much as he would like compared to the likes of Engel, Mortara, Farfus, Marchiello. All those guys are regular competitors. So fastest lap so far around, we're talking about Augusto Farfus at 2:16.5. Lap record, well, it was a 2:17.1, it's now 2:16.5, so all records have been broken so far this year. And what can Mortara do from position number 3? Marchiello, Engel, Mortara, Farfus, Serra, Van der Linde, Vanthor, Haase, Juncadella and Bamba are your top 10. Picariello, Estra, Ye, Chung, David Chen and Jules Gunon, Marchie Lee, apologies Marchie, round out the 17 cars still remaining in this field. Shown with 3 laps to go. With any luck, we will see the lights out on the safety car as it disappears from the field between Fisherman's and R Bend and pulls into pit lane. We will be back underway with Raffaele Marchiello controlling the field for the restart. Just after noon local time in Macau tomorrow, 16-lap feature race, assuming of course we don't have too many delays. We've got to something like half an hour behind today with one of the earlier races, the motorcycle race this morning. Saw a number of challenges and a few stoppages, red flag incidents. The riders weren't too badly injured. Safety car is in this lap, so delays do occur, but things are scheduled at the moment for midday tomorrow for the 16-lap feature race, the 2023 FIA GT World Cup here at the 70th running of the Macau Grand Prix on the 6.12 kilometre gear circuit. All right, are the tyres up to temperature? What will we see on the restart? What does Mortara have for those 2 thunderous AMG V8s in front of him? I am sure he will have something ready to go. Safety car boards are still out. Safety car has disappeared as pulled into pit lane, or is very close to pulling into pit lane. Thundering down to R bend now. What will Marchiello do? Will he hold them up or will he jump on the throttle? I think he's a bit more inclined to just go. And I think he has. He's gone. Engel was still getting tyres up to temperature. Mortara was pretty close to the tail of Engel. What can he do? He really has a great opportunity to do it off the restart through reservoir. 680 metres down to Mandarin. What is the condition of the circuit on? They move to the left of circuit for maximum run through. Hopefully no oil or fluids down. No, looks clean and tidy. They're through. Haase further back, looking to try and make up a position. Mortara just couldn't stick with the two AMGs on the run down to Lisboa. Haase doing everything he can to try and get past Lawrence Vanthoor in front of him. Vanthoor knows exactly what these Audis are capable of. He has driven one with all four wheels on the circuit. He's done a couple of laps. He also knows what they're like upside down. But let's not go there. On board with Mortara, looking back at Augusto Farfus. Farfus won this race in 2018. He too is a winner. All four of the top, all the top four drivers rather, have had victory here in a GT car at Macau. Beautiful vision. You can see just how tight it is and how little opportunity there is to make a passing move. Short of an error, and you're not going to see too many of those from guys of this calibre. Police is the scene of what was a very, very big and very expensive car park back in 2017. That was during the qualifying race, opening lap. It saw a good dozen cars piled in on the exit of Police, a blind corner. Danny Juncadella might have been involved in that at that stage. One of the lead cars had a spin. He just managed to get through and then got caught. But we're on board with Edo Mortara. This is his view as we come out of Melco Hairpin through Black Sands down to the right-hander at Fisherman's. Hard brake, hug the inside line, run out wide, and now the run down to R Bend. The final corner on the circuit as we head into the final lap of this very, very drawn-out opening race. Qualification race. There is just 24 turns to go, 23 turns to go now for Mortara. What can he do? What can Haase do behind him? Has he been able to make any inroads on Vanthoor? No, he hasn't. The gap's just opened up just that little bit. Mortara, fastest man on track, and a new lap record, 2:16.59 last time round. So he has pace. But the AMGs just seem to be able to extend that advantage on the run down to Lisboa. That's the one point where he really needs to be up behind them. Former Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup champion Alessio Pingariello looking to try and make a move forward on Earl Bamber. I'm not sure he's going to be able to take the former Le Mans winner quite so easily. As up front, the lead, 0.8 of a second to Marchiello. Engel holding a similar advantage over Mortara. As Haase just 0.6 off the tail of Vanthoor. Further back, Frankie Chung in position number 14. He's only 0.7 off the tail of Hong Li Ye, another former winner in a GT car here at Macau. It's half the lap to go. It's Haase now under fire from Juncadella. So he's gone from attack to defend. But again, not sure there's much that Juncadella can do, certainly not in that part of the circuit. Up to Police. That was Moorish. Heading to Donna Maria. And the run down to the Melco Hairpin now in shadow. Getting later in the day. 3:04 local time. Sunset's about 5:15. Coming into Fisherman's for the final time. Any kind of incident for the two leaders notwithstanding, I think this will be a third place starting position for Edo Mortara tomorrow in the feature race, and Marchiello takes Another win here at Macau. Engel across the line in position 2. Another strong lap, and still the lap record for Mortara in position number 3. Farfus, Van der Linde, Serra, Vanthor, Haase, Juncadella, Bamba, Picariello, Estra, Ye, Frankie Chung in position number 14, so he's made up some solid ground, 4 positions up. But Marciello, the form driver in GT competition in the world at the moment, takes another win at Macau. So top honours to him this time round, but a solid finishing position for Edo Mortara. That sets him up nicely. We saw Mauro Engel fire from position 3 to position 2 off the start of this opening race. He managed to out-drag Mauro Engel and out-drag Edo Mortara on the run down to Mandarin. We'll see a replay of that, no doubt, in the not too distant future. And just squeeze him across and put him out of position on the entry to Mandarin and take away position 2. Let's see whether or not Edo Mortara can achieve that tomorrow. Now, just because you start from pole position in the main race at Macau doesn't always mean all that much. We have seen past years where pole position hasn't been, in fact, the prime position. Mortara's not finished in the top spot starting from pole position in the past. He knows only too well how that works. Quite often, the second row can be the prime starting position. So let's see what tomorrow brings as we get to midday tomorrow, Sunday, the 19th of November, for the 70th running of the Macau Grand Prix and the return of the FIA GT World Cup. Three of Europe's leading drivers finish 1, 2, 3. Brazilian Augusto Farfus finishes in position number 4 alongside his teammate Sheldon Van der Linde. Another Brazilian, Daniel Serra, finishes in position number 6. Lawrence Vanthor and Christopher Haase to Belgian and German, positions 7 and 8. Danny Juncadella in position number 9. Earl Bamba, the New Zealander, in position number 10. Alessio Picariello, position 11, the former Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup champion. Kevin Estra, Only Ye, Frankie Chung, David Chen, those two, Frankie Chung and David Chen, hard competitors in Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. Marchi Lee, inaugural Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup champion, 2012, finishes in position number 17. Frustration for Adley Fong after a brilliant start to the weekend. He'll be sore, he'll be disappointed, I'm sure. And, well, miracles have happened, but the way that right front wheel was punched back into the car tends to suggest there may be structural damage to that very strong Audi chassis. And if that's the case, then that requires a return to home base and a fairly big repair, not the kind of repair that you would expect to see happen overnight. But we have been proven wrong in that regard many, many times over the years and have seen some brilliant recoveries from various teams. And Uno Racing, no doubt supported by Absolute Racing and Audi Sport Custom Racing Asia, if there's a chance to repair that car, they will do just that. A little bit tight there. Mauro Engel's managed to put the squeeze on Raffaele Marciello at the end. Squeeze him across as the media come in to try and get that important first reaction. But, for Marciello, that is a great result for him and a solid start to help him get back to favouritism for the big race tomorrow. Man we want to see is Mr. Macau. That beautiful gold and red livery. Let's see if we can hear anything from the drivers. Taking his time to extract himself from the car. Probably a little frustrated not to have been able to hold on to his second place qualifying position. He certainly showed yesterday he had the pace, and look at that fastest lap. 2:16.5, his best, 2 laps from home. In fact, I think he may have improved that again on the final lap. 2:16.7 for Marciello, 2:16.8 for Engel. Everyone else in the 2:17s and above. Frankie Chung also in the 2:17s. Good solid result for him. Sure, Edo's having a squiz out there inside the car. He had some kind of challenge. But no doubt we will hear further from him as we go through to the podium. And no doubt a replay of what was another dramatic GT race here at Macau, at the Gear Circuit. And it's great to see the FIA GT World Cup back where it belongs at Macau. There are your finishing positions, provisionally at this stage. Marciello takes the win. 12 laps in the books from Mauro Engel and Edo Mortara. Augusto Farfus, Sheldon van der Linde, Daniel Serra, Lawrence Vanthoor, Christopher Haase in the second of the Audis in position number 8. Danny Juncadella and Earl Bamber round out the top 10. Alessio Picariello, former Audi Sport 08 Honors Cup champion. We do bang on about that, but he was very impressive in that championship, and it has put a lot of these drivers through the runs for learning to compete in a GT car. He takes it over Kevin Astro back in position number 14 for Frankie Chung, and of course that very big DNF for Adley Fong in the middle of this race. That incident where he just potentially lost the tail of his Hello Kitty Audi coming through Mandarin, or he did just what happened to Edo Mortara in 2016 and just clipped the inside barrier on the run into, sorry, the inside barrier, the inside curb on the run into Mandarin. In Mortara's case, that spun him around, and he clipped the barrier with the rear wing of the car and managed to just right himself. Fortunately, wasn't hit by any of the cars behind him. He had the bulk of the field behind him. He limped back to the pits, done damage to the rear wing. They repaired all that. Safety car interventions brought him back into the race. He finished the the qualification race, classified in position number 13, and that's where he ended the race. Was obviously impacted by all those incidents that ultimately saw Lawrence Vanthoor take the win on his roof. But then, unfortunately, for 10 years ago for Alex Young, and this time round for Adley Fong, they weren't so lucky. They weren't able to just spin down the middle of the circuit and avoid what was coming. They were speared across to the inside barriers, and that did significant damage, not just to the barriers, but certainly to both their Audis. Fortunately, both of them managed to extract themselves from the car and walk away. And we hope that Adley is okay. He will no doubt have gone to the medical centre and been checked over. Certainly hope to hear some good news from him in the not too distant future. And let's see whether or not we do find out any news about whether the car is repairable. But just sitting here as a commentator, looking on, the damage that the car suffered on the right front, bodywork, there's a lot of those sorts of things. But once you get to structural pickup points for suspension, etc., then you can have a big job ahead of yourself, and that's not something that you can fix overnight at a circuit. Bodywork, suspension components, drive lines, some of those sorts of things, aero, etc., can be potentially repaired at the circuit. Once it becomes structural, that becomes a whole different scenario. Mr. Reinke just conferring with members of the local family and the European family. Great to have him back here at Macau. I know he loves coming down to this part of the world. Certainly the growing market worldwide for Audi, certainly in the last 10 years, has been in Asia. So great to see him back here. We will go through to the podium shortly, and then we will leave you. Make sure you join us at midday tomorrow for what will be another dramatic FIA FIA GT World Cup. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for the podium.
Recebeu alta hospitalar. O mesmo não aconteceu, no entanto, com Nadia Schotz, a piloto neerlandesa, que na sua segunda presença neste Grande Prémio de Macau cair, a sofrer então uma fratura no pé esquerdo e também uma contusão pulmonar, ela que acaba por para observação. Nadia Schotz
Of course, we're not quite ready to leave you just yet. After the podium, we will go back to the highlights of the event. We'll take you through those. Getting ready to go with the podium. This first driver is the driver we've all come to see, Mr. Macau himself, Edo Mortara.
Welcome to the 70th Macau Grand Prix. Now it's the Macau GT Cup FIA GT World Cup Qualification Race Trophy Presentation Ceremony. First of all, let's welcome the top 3 finishers to the podium. On second runner-up, number 40, Eduardo Mortara. Welcome, driver. On first runner-up, number 77, Mauro Engel. And the winner is number 48, Rafael Machado. Welcome the top 3 winners. And now I would like to invite Ms. Irene Wong, Senior Vice President of Public and Community Relations of MGM, to present the laurel and trophy to the second runner-up. And our second runner-up driver is Mortara. Congratulations. And now I would like to invite Ms. Wong. Please also present the laurel and trophy to our first runner-up, Mauro Engel. Congratulations. Thank you, Ms. Wong. Now I would like to invite Mr. Poon Wan Kun, President of the Sports Bureau and Coordinator of the Macau Grand Prix Organizing Committee, to present the laurel and trophy to the winner, number 48, Marcello. Congratulations. Will all the guests please proceed to the center and take a group photo together. And our winners, you may reach to the top of the podium as well to take this group picture together. Thank you. Yeah, raise up your trophy. Yeah, you may reach to the top of the podium and take one more, please. Thank you all the guests. Thank you very much. Would drivers please remain on the podium? Please remain on the podium for some questions. Thank you, our girls first. Thank you. And now I will pass the time to Chris for some questions to our drivers, please.
Thanks very much. Let's catch up with our top 3. We'll start with Eduardo Mortara. Eduardo, well done. Nobody knows this place better than you. 4 wins in GTs, a winner twice in Formula 3. Can you describe to us what this place means to you, what this track is like to drive?
Well, Macau is a very unique racing track where, as driver, you know, you have a lot of fun driving it. You had a lot of pleasure, you know, during these 2 days driving my Audi R8 around this track. Unfortunately, today we could not really, you know, get the first positions, but we still have tomorrow, and we will try even harder.
Do you know where you might be missing out, where you can find a little bit more pace to keep up with?
They were, they were really quick today. I'm sure that we will sit down, you know, sit down with the engineers, try to look where we can, you know, have some, a little bit more pace, and hopefully we can challenge them a little bit more tomorrow.
Well done, Eduardo. Good to speak to you. Right, second place. Maro Engel. Maro, it's a long time ago, but if you can remember it, please can you talk me through that the start for second place? That was phenomenal around the outside at turn 2.
Yeah, it's always a tough and exciting start here. Obviously, already turn 1. Managed to get a good run on Edo there, and we're side drafting on the way to turn 2, and I was just a bit ahead, so it was enough to stick it around the outside. I mean, was definitely always a heart and mouth moment, but yeah, it went well, and obviously a good move to get up one position, and hopefully we can move up one more position tomorrow.
And what a field of drivers to be amongst 20 unbelievable drivers this weekend. It's really tough out there.
Yeah, the field's incredible, and you know, everyone in this field has won championships, has won at the highest level. So it's really a strong field, and obviously really challenging.
Well done, Mara. Good luck to you tomorrow. Edge past you. This is shaky. I made it. Raffaello, what a wonderful 5 years you've had with Mercedes. You won everything there is to win. Feels a bit like it might be written in the stars this weekend to end on a real high. You've had a fantastic.
So 7 years, not 5. So I'm getting old, but I mean, yeah, I had an amazing 7 years with them. We won almost everything, so I mean, I cannot complain, and yeah, for sure I will try to end my life in MG tomorrow with a victory for sure.
What does this place mean to you, Macau? Is it good to be back after 4 years away?
I was there last year already, so I mean, me, Edo, and Maro, we were there together last year, so it was different without the people, and I mean, this year it's nice to be back with the FIA GT World Cup. There are many strong cars, so it's fantastic, and if I can win, it's even better. If I cannot win, I will not like anymore this place.
Well done today, great drive. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Well done to our top 3. Give them a round of applause. We'll see them all again for the main race tomorrow.
And there they are, third place for Audi Sport and Edo Mortara. And I think Maro Engel quite rightly said that best drivers in the world, if you've not run at the top of a championship at some part of the world, you wouldn't be part of this field, and you're racing fantastic drivers. So it's difficult to make up positions at this circuit, but it's difficult to make up positions when you're competing with drivers of that calibre. But he also knew he could go toe-to-toe with Mortara, and let's watch this off the start. Mortara locks himself in behind Marciello, but then there was a big move. We just missed it, obviously, but through Mandarin, where Engel was able to make his move. Juncadella tried a move on Mortara. It wasn't happening. Mortara managed to hang on to position number 3 and locked in behind his 2 former teammates. And then this big one, unfortunately for Adley Fong. He tried to catch it, but just couldn't, carrying far too much momentum in the high 200s, and that, unfortunately for him, was game over. A big impact with that, cost us a number of laps behind the safety car, and then the red flag. And by the time we rejoined, it was very processional towards the end of the race and not really an opportunity. Although that said, and in strong signs for tomorrow, Edo Mortara set the fastest lap of the race and a new lap record for GTs in the FIA GT World Cup around this Macau circuit. And that wraps it up again for what has been another incredible and incredibly unpredictable race here at Macau. Stay tuned tomorrow for what will be the feature race when we come back again at noon tomorrow local time in Macau. We'll see you then.
It is now race time in Macau.
Edward Mortara.
An Audi front row, led by Mortara. Ferdinand can take both of them out, and through goes the Audi. Mortara bounces at the perfect time. Oh no! Macau strikes again. And millions of dollars of damage here. It's going to be a big one.
Play driver at the
Eduardo Mortara